It's the end of the session. I'm a little backlit, because we wanted to get that in that great backyard. This is Pearl. This is Pearl's roadmap to success. Sit. We just did a little clicker training, so sit. Remember, the click is to indicate the dog did what you want, and you're going to get a treat in their mouth as soon as you can. So it's really a 3-step process. You tell the dog to sit. When the dog sits, you click, and click right away. Only one click. And then you give her the treat, then you say the command word. So I guess it's a 4-step process. You can tell the dog to sit. When she sits, you click, you give her a treat, then you say the command word. And after a while, you can drop the click, and the command word is related to just going sitting or whatever it is. All right, so Pearl has been in the house for about 3 months and really has done doesn't really have a lot of behavior problems. So we were able to skip through a lot of stuff, or went through some stuff a lot faster. That's that passive training I talked about in the video above. So basically, one of the things we talked about was, well, I'm going to talk about this now because she probably might do this in a minute. So anytime a dog mouths us, that's what we usually recommend in puppy class. Now, she comes up to tell her guardian she wants to go outside to potty by doing that. And so what I went over with is, what I'm going to go over is a little bit of potty training. She's potty trained now, but we want to come up with a command word. And a lot of people want to come up with one word to pee and one word to poop. They don't need 2 words. They just one word is fine. So whatever the word is you want to use, her word is pee-pee, and that's what I'm just going to use right now. So when she's in the act of peeing or pooping, we're going to say the word pee-pee while she's peeing or pooping. Say it once in a normal tone of voice. When she gets done, by petting, she just lay down. You can't see it off camera. So when she gets done, then I crouch down and I hold out a treat. When she comes to me, I pop the treat in her mouth and I say the word pee-pee again while she's chewing it. So now I associate the action with the command word and the command word with the reward. And after a while, they become synonymous. So the next step is, from the things we talked about, is teaching your dog to ring a bell to go to the bathroom. Now, the way that most people do is they hang it from the door, and that actually represents the door opening, because dogs think through association, repetition, and good timing. You have 3 seconds to correct or reward a dog for them to have the ability to make the connection. So basically, what you want to do is, for ringing the bell, is you get the bells, and you usually come in a series. There's a strap, there's 2, 2, 2, 2 going down. So cut them off and just have 2 bells with you. Go outside every time that she's out, have the bells in, but hold them tight so that they're not making any sounds. As soon as she starts to pee or poop, gently ring them, kind of like da-ding, da-ding, because that's the sound the dogs make when it hits it with its paw. So the whole time she's peeing or pooping, you're going da-ding, da-ding, da-ding. When she gets done, you clamp them, crouch down again, hold out that treat. Now, she should be comfortable in coming to you because she's used to that. When she comes to you, put the treat in her mouth. As soon as the treat goes in her mouth, you go da-ding, da-ding, da-ding. Usually about 2 or 3 da-dings. And now you're associating the bell with the command word to go outside and potty and with the reward. So the next step is you take the dog inside, and basically you have those bells in every room, hanging in every room. They don't have to hang by the door. They should never hang by the doorknob, but they don't have to be by the door. They can be anywhere you want. It's just an indicator, I need to go outside. Just don't move them around once the room. Keep them in the same place in each room so she knows where to go. So maybe this room it's over here, that room it's over here, that's fine. Just don't move them in that room. All right, so the third stage is now we've queried and we create a command word, so we say pee-pee. And if she goes like this, you know that's a yes. If you say pee-pee and she goes like this, that's a no. So when you think she has to go potty then we say pee-pee and she goes like this, then you call her over to where the bell is, and some people put a tiny bit of peanut butter on it and they nudge it, and as soon as they nudge it, you take her outside. Or some people take the puppy's paw and touch it themselves. Some people kind of hold the bell out. Now, another thing you do is using a clicker for this is hold the bell out. Well, actually, what I would do is first is have, let's say that I have the bell in this hand, and I'm not going to use a clicker for this part. I have the bell in this hand. Well, and somebody else could actually have a clicker. This is the bell, this clicker, and I have a bunch of treats in this hand. I start with both hands behind my back. I swing out the bell. The dog looks at the bell. It goes away, and I give the dog a treat. And really, when the dog looks at the, well, actually, no. Yes, I was correct. I'm just moving ahead of myself in the conversation. So you do this maybe 10 or 50 times. And when you're doing it, make sure your arms are in kimbo like this. So you start off with both of them behind, but you flash this. As soon as the dog looks at it, it goes away, and then you give the dog a treat. And then you do it again. And after doing about 5 or 10, sometimes 25 times or so, and sometimes you have to switch it, put the bell in this hand and the treats in this hand. But then what you do is you hold it out and just hold it like this. The dog will come and lean towards it. Now, first it leans towards it, give it a treat, and then pull it away. But eventually the dog will touch it with his nose. When it touches it with its nose, that's when I would have the other person click, if I can get my clicking action going. So it's hard for one person to do it. So other persons, as soon as the dog touches the bell with the nose, you click. Now the dog knows that's the action that I just wanted, and I'm gonna get a reward. So as soon as she touches it with her nose, click, then give her the treat. And you might even say pee-pee at that point. You could or could not. I could go either way on that one. So, and I would do that in different rooms in the house. Every room there's where the bells are at, and kind of do it near where you're gonna hang the bell. And at first, maybe I'm gonna hang the bell right here on the wall, so I'm doing it right here 5 feet away. As I'm doing this, I'm gradually moving the bell closer and closer to the wall, and eventually it's at the wall, and she goes, nudges it, click, and then you take her, you give her the, then at that point I would start taking her outside. So eventually she starts to associate going outside, ringing the bell is how I asked to go outside to go potty. All right, now we talked about exercise. She gets plenty of exercise. She gets plenty of exercise, swimming and all the rest of the stuff, so I'm not gonna go over those, except for that there's the doggy stairmaster and the hiding the treats around. You can Google scent games. And just Google it because there's a bunch of free articles about it. The doggy stairmaster is throwing the treats up and down the stairs. Right now she does this with her with the ball. But it's a nice way to burn energy. Now remember that when we first started the session, they were doing some landscaping in the house over here, and it was very loud. And sometimes that sets off and causes anxiety to the dogs. So if you know that they're coming, maybe we take her to the stairs and do the doggy stairmaster. And I have a video for that, so if you don't know how to do that, go to my website, search for dog stairmaster or doggy stairmaster. Or just, if you're the client, just text me directly and I'll be happy to send you a link to the video. So 5 minutes on the stairs is equivalent to like a half an hour walk, but you can do that right when the people show up, and it takes no time. Before you take her in for grooming, probably be a good idea to exercise her. And the idea is to come up with the with the doggy stairmaster or any form of exercise that is a concentrated short burst of exercise, like fetch or things like that. Is you teach you can set the dog up for success before she goes to get groomed. Maybe we exercise her 10 times up down to the stairs. Before we have relatives come over, maybe it's 7 times. Before we go for a walk, most people never think of exercising a dog before the walk. It's a certain number of times. So the idea is to come up with the right amount of exercise that'll get your dog, set your dog up for success based on what the activity is going to be to follow. All right, so the doggy stairmaster, especially during the wintertime or the heat of the summer, or like I said, if you get caught off guard. All right, now I'm going to talk about it since we're kind of on topic. Go to Pets Earth. It's a great pet store that she has a problem with, and she's doing better at going in, but every time she goes there, she only goes in the door one time. So the guardian noticed that she follows another dog behind a little bit easier, and that's pretty normal for dogs. Sometimes we call it habituation when we put a balanced dog with an unbalanced dog, and the unbalanced dog learns from a more confident dog. So the other dogs are walking through the door without any hesitation. So I'd like the guardian to just go to Pets Earth when she has about a half an hour, and just spend a half an hour walking in and out of the door. So if somebody else is walking up, just say, hey, I have a rescue dog who's kind of fearful of doors. Would you mind if we follow you through the door? Okay. Sometimes they ask because sometimes you might have dogs who are nervous with being chased from behind or aggressive. So as long as they're like, fine, walk through the door. And at first you're going to be like dog, so pretty close together. As you're doing this, and then next time maybe you have a little bit more distance between the dogs, then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And eventually you have like a full dog length and a couple dog lengths, and she's doing more of going through the door on her own. Every time she goes through the door, maybe after you get to 11 feet, you give her a treat if that's where she stopped before. Or if she stopped at 10 feet, go to 11 feet, give her the treat. Now she's gonna probably follow the other dog, and that's gonna get her further in the store. Once you've done this enough times, she's gonna be like, oh, door, no big deal. I walk in and I follow another dog, and then you can start doing without dogs. But to start off with, always have a dog there present when you first start doing this. This kind of sets her up for success. Okay, so let me see, we also talked about rules. Now she doesn't go on the furniture, which is one of the rules I suggest, so we skip that one. I did recommend that you get her to go to the dog bed by throwing the treats, and if you have questions about that, just message me. I'm happy to share that video with you. And what's the word for the dog bed? Paris?
Maui.
Maui. Love the fun command words. One of the things I'd like you to do is come up with a list of the official command words. Anything you're teaching her a new trick or command, come up with a fun command word for it. I say crash to make my dog go lay down. Charge means to run. Retreat means back up. Also, there's a retreat command on my website. If you want to teach her to retreat or back up, excuse me is the command word that we recommend a lot in puppy class. Just send me a text. I'm happy to send that to you. It's really easy to teach. You can use the method I showed you, but there's another method that we can show you that's included in the video. All right, so let me see. Other rules we talked about. One of them is a pre-mac. Remember, a pre-mac is where the less desirable behavior earns you a more desirable behavior. Your employee has a big project that's going to take most of the day. Hey, as soon as you get done with the project, you can leave early. Well, now that employee's motivated to really bust their tail to get the work done, so they can get out a half an hour or an hour early. So you can use pre-max for dog situations for a lot of different scenarios. I use it for the rule of the door. I go to the door and I tell the dog to sit. My rule is the dog has to sit to ask to go outside. So if the dog doesn't sit, I say sit, the dog has 3 seconds to sit. If it doesn't sit within 3 seconds, I sit down nearby, wait for 1 minute, go back to the door, command the dog to sit. If she doesn't sit within 3 seconds this time, I walk away and sit down for 2 minutes. Next time I sit down for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. I keep double length of time. But as soon as she sits down, the door flies open. Now, in your case, probably do that with your enclosed area, the door to the enclosed area. If you're going outside where it's not enclosed, then you would have her on a leash first. That would be another rule I'd probably have, that she has got to sit before you put the leash on. And if she's really excited for the leash, let me know. I can share you a video with you on how to keep her to be calm on the leash. So eventually she'll just go sit at the doors or ask way to go out. And I would do that for every door in your house. Do it for doors in the car. Do it for doors at Starbucks or PetSmart or different places like that. Moving doors, I'd probably skip those because those are hard and you can't control them. But eventually, sitting is a way of saying, please, can I go through the door? Now, if you want to teach your dog to wait to go for permission to go out an open door, message me. I'm happy to share that video with you that we have that teaches dogs to wait at the open door. But the more of these exercises, like the next 2 rules I'm going to suggest, give the dog an opportunity to practice restraining itself. Dogs have to practice self-control to demonstrate in other areas. If you want me to not run after the duck that's in front of the next house, I have to have some self-control to do that. And I can achieve that by not going in the kitchen when my guardians are preparing food, another rule, or not being allowed to be within the little seaman when he is eating his food. And so we come up with these, so when anybody's eating food, the dog should not be within 7 feet of them. And when we're cooking food in the kitchen, shouldn't be allowed there as well. Now I'm ready to do the out command. So what I would do is grab a bunch of the treats, go to every area of your house, every doorway, throw a treat out, the dog runs out to get it, you licks it up, you say out, then it comes back in, you do a repeat, and do it every portal or around the area, around the dinner table, whatever it is, until eventually you say out and the dog runs out of every room. Then you would treat them after they go out of the room. And then I follow it after I do all 2 outs with every doorway of the room in the house. Then I go in the kitchen, I throw the treat, or in the hallway out of the kitchen, I throw the treat in the kitchen, the dog goes in the kitchen, licks it up. I say the word kitchen, dining, living, basement, bedroom. So now I come up with a vocabulary. I can tell the dog to go any direction, any place I want to go. That really makes it a lot easier to direct your dog to get out of your way, or whatever it is. All right, but look for other opportunities for rules. You have to sit before I put the leash on you. Sit before, drop the ball and sit before I pick it up to play fetch, things along those lines. And also you might want to consider, like I said, that I fetch. It's about $116 for the small one. And that way she can play the fetch with herself in the house, and that's a nice way to occupy her time. Let me see, what else did we talk about? We talked about petting with purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose is what it sounds like. Petting your dog for a reason. A lot of us inadvertently pet our dogs at the wrong time. When they come home, the dog's jumping up and excited, we say, calm down. Well, that's going to eventually make calm down a command word to get excited. One of the very first tips I suggested or shared with the guardian is to be careful. A lot of people, when their dog is fearful, say, it's okay, good boy, don't be scared. Well, if I hear it's okay every time I'm scared, it becomes the command word for being scared. Remember, if you pet your dog when it's fearful, you make her more fearful. So if she is fearful, the best thing you do is increase distance between her and whatever she's fearful of. If you do want to calm her, reassure her, put your hand on her. They do associate touch with affection, but as soon as you start petting or scratching, you're going to reinforce the exact thing that you don't want. Now, it works on the positive aspect as well, and that's what petting with a purpose is. So if she comes up and nudges you, she's telling you what to do. Remember, leaders tell, followers ask. So she nudges you, you tell her to sit, give her a counter order. If she's already sitting here, tell her to sit here or here, or tell her to lay down, don't do shake. If she sits within that 3-second window, you pet her under her chin and say the word sit, pet her as much or as little as you want. If she doesn't sit within that 3-second window, show her I got other things to do. Lean in a chair, don't fall off the deck, pull out your phone, read a magazine, watch TV, talk to your husband. So now the dog's like, man, all I had to do was just sit and she'd be petting me, and now she's talking to her husband and I'm not getting any of that attention. That motivates her the next time to want to listen to you. So petting with a purpose is if you want to pet the dog or the dog wants you to pet it. Now, I have a watchword for this to help us remember, which I call paycheck. So paycheck means that I suspect you forgot to pet with a purpose. Come, this is passive training. This is the next thing we're going to talk about. So let's say that I'm petting her and she's standing up like this, and the guardian comes in and says, paycheck. That means I suspect you forgot to ask her to sit, David. They didn't see it, the whole situation. Even if I did it right, I would stop, I'd say, sit. We'll give you an allowance because we're video. And then say sit, and then say, actually, I asked her to sit, and when you open the door, she stood up and I continued to pet her, but thank you because I do forget to pet without a purpose. Now right there, she did not sit within that 3-second window. So if she didn't, then I would just not pet her. Now I see she's nudging me here. You should give me an order. Come. sit, sit. And I get to pet her as much as I want because I made her do it again. After a while, she'll recognize I can't tell the humans what to do by nudging them. I have to ask for attention, and I have to actually pay for it. And I pay for it through a currency of obedience. She'll start coming and sitting in front of you to prepay for that attention. When she does, make sure you pet her. I call this Farley, actually, after one of my dogs that passed on. But a lot of times people will say chill. We do this with a lot of people who have anger issues, PTSD. We teach their service dogs when they're starting to get frustrated to come and put their chin on the person's thigh and start pushing down. And that's a trigger for a reminder for the person to stop what I'm doing and start petting the dog, which actually releases oxytocin, serotonin, and leptin in your brain and your dog's brain, which is the pleasure endorphins. So when she does that on her own, that's passive training, which I'm about to talk about. So remember to use the watchword of paycheck, and even if you want to pet her, you tell her to sit. She's got to sit in order to get that affection. Remember, if you get in the habit of doing this, every time you do this, it increases her respect for you as an authority figure because she is asking versus telling. Number two, you're boosting her self-esteem and confidence because she's earning the affection rather than being just given to a free good-looking dog. A lot of us do everything for our dog, and then we wonder why they're anxious. We have self-esteem boosts when we earn things on our own. So if she earns these treats, she's going to sit a little taller. She's going to have her nose up in the air, feel better about herself. That boosting self-esteem fixes a lot of problems. It also helps her practice sitting and laying down and basic obedience. And the fourth thing it does, it makes your pets more valuable because I can't get these for anything. I have to do something to earn them. Crash. She just laid down for me, and I didn't ask her to, but that's still a desired behavior. So I reached down and petted her within that 3-second window. I call this passive training, or another way to think about it might be celebrating the things the dog does that you like. Most of us train our dogs to misbehave. It comes to us, we ignore that, it sits at our feet, we ignore that, it lays down at our feet, ignores that, drops the ball, we ignore that because we're watching TV. But boy, as soon as it starts barking, we correct it. As soon as it starts chewing, stealing the kids' food, we immediately gets our attention. Good attention, bad attention, same thing for dogs. So celebrate is basically rewarding the dog when it offers you the behavior you want without you asking. So she came and laid down, I reached down and pet her within that 3-second window and said crash, which is the word that I like to use. Every time she comes to you, like I talked in the video about, make sure you pet her and say come. Every time she sits, pet her and say sit. When she drinks water, come up with the name of your favorite cocktail or Merlot or whatever you want to say. So now every time she drinks water, you say Merlot, and then when you think she's thirsty, you say Merlot, and she goes over and drinks some water. Or if we were on the deck and we didn't know she didn't have any water, we say Merlot, and she goes like this, yes, she's thirsty. Remember, for the tongue, when it starts going like a spoon, when it's hanging out and it kind of curls up like a spoon, that's often an indication they're getting dehydrated. Make sure you get them a little bit of water. I have a watchword, or I have not a watchword, but a word for my dogs to eat. I say grub, chow, and lasagna. Or feast and lasagna, excuse me. That chow dog has passed on. Sorry, Farley. But basically, every time the Farley would take his bite of food, I would say chow. After a while, that became his command word. When the other dogs heard chow, they didn't hear it. They had no food in their mouth. When he heard chow, there's food in his mouth. That became the command word for him to eat. So basically, for passive training, the watchword we use is celebrate. So I'm standing here and somebody comes up, the dog comes up and I missed it. Somebody says celebrate to me. I stop what I'm doing and as quick as I can, I start petting the dog. Then I identify what the action is, what the pose is the dog's doing. Then I say the command word, sit, come, whatever it is. The more you do this, like I said, they come, we take it for granted. They sit, we take it for granted. Well, if I come back in a month and ask her, hey Pearl, what can you do to make your guardians happy? Boy, they like it when I sit. They love it when I come. They love it when I eat my food. They say Merlot when I drink my water. So now you're just putting these things in context, and the dogs want to please us. We just do a horrible, horrible job as humans at communicating to them through our actions what they can do to please us. The more you pet your dog for the things you like, the more your dog will offer those behaviors. We also talked about the escalating consequences. I'm not going to go over those on camera, but if you have any questions about that, please let me know. Pearl, I think your mom wants you to stay out of there. Pearl, come. Good little sidebar. She's sniffing. If I keep on calling her while she's sniffing, the dog's nose controls 60% of their brain. They can't multitask. So if I keep on calling her while she's not responding, then I'm helping her train her that she doesn't have to listen to me. So instead, wait for the nose to get up and then go, Pearl, come. Remember to lower that hand like I showed you in the other video. I want to know what love is too. Sit. So this is the arc that I meant. Come. Well, I should have clicked as soon as her butt hits the ground. Then so she comes to me, I click when she's in the proximate area, raise it up, lower it, let her lick it off my hand, and then I would say the word come or whatever it is. So, and if your dog is doing something like that and you don't like what they're doing, make sure you manage them. A lot of times we kind of let dogs do things and we don't correct them, I think the guardian was doing this to not interrupt this video, but remember, anything your dog is doing in your presence that you don't disagree with is looked at as having your seal of approval. So make sure you disagree with everything unless the dog is doing something to get a rise out of you. Dogs demand barking, that's the time I would ignore it completely. But as soon as it sits, boy, I'd be petting it for sit. Practice the exercise I showed you with the treats on the floor with your kitchen and around the living room. When your grandson comes by, have him practice eating in different areas. Sit. Look at all that great attention. You are a smart dog. So have him practice eating hot dogs and snacks all over the place. That's a great way to practice staying away from him here, staying away from him there, and so on. And being motivated and rewarded for doing so. And if you give him that leave, you can say leave it. If she's approaching the boundary, say leave it, and she turns and walks away. That's great. That's even better than the hiss. But the hiss you can use as well. But practice the bacon thing that I mentioned for the kitchen, and I'm trying to think of anything else. Prime the clicker a couple times. Just throw about 10 treats on the ground, click every time she licks it up. I probably prefer, I was going to talk to you off camera or on camera, do that tonight. So grab about 10 of those treats after about an hour after I leave, do it again, do it once tomorrow. After a while, you saw how quickly she was responding. And if you practice, I didn't go over, I guess I failed. I usually say, I want you to practice this many times. So I'd like you to come down twice a day with one of those long leads and get yourself a separate lead so you don't have to deal with this one, and this one can be just here. Order one on Amazon. Make sure you just get one that's, what is it, the word I'm looking for? It's like the polyester mesh. So this one I have is cloth. It's going to be heavy and it's going to get all wet, waterlogged. So basically it's the same webbing that like her collar is probably made out of. Yep. All right, and so get a long lead, about 20 or 30 feet. Practice letting her go out there, and then when she kind of stops farting around, then ask her to come. Lower your treat as you need to when she comes to you. First couple times you might never get that jackpot, but after a while, practice twice a day for about 15 to 20 treats each practice session. I bet you within a week you say come and she'll just come and running. And then I would also, if there's the things that she likes to go for that you mentioned. If I can't remember what it was. The things the neighbors, what ducks? Ducks. So when there's ducks around, go down towards the ducks. Now, when you get certain closeness, she's not going to listen to you. So you got to find how close can I get where she'll still come to me, and have her rep. Maybe the duck's 25 feet away, and you have her come back to you a couple times. Then you get to 24, 23. You get closer and closer, and eventually she's practiced moving away from the ducks. But make sure you have a really, really high value training treat. So something like the tricky trainers that I left for you, or something you might get at the green spot. Take her to the green spot if you can. Talk to the green spot about her food. Just say, look, we're feeding her Royal Canin. She doesn't like her food. David said you might have some suggestions. Do you have any samples? They'll give you like 20 or 30 samples of bags. Try the ones and take note of the ones. Keep the bags of the ones that she likes, and then order a bag of those. Also, make sure when you're going there, I would probably get her at least one kneecap, one bully stick, one cow cheek. Those are some of my dog's favorite things. The cow cheek, my dogs like covet. I mean, it's incredible how much they love them. And so giving her, especially when she's stressed out, things that she can chew on is really helpful. And so, and also it's a nice way to preoccupy the dog when you're entertaining or things along those lines. I'm trying to think. If you have any questions, Pearl, come. Come. See how low I had to go? But she finally got up and came over here. So she's coming, gets to where I want. Come. And then I'm petting her chin. You come over here, Pearl. Pearl, come. I want to show everybody how beautiful you are. She's like, but that's the clicker hand. I know you don't have any treats in that hand. I have one treat left for you. I have to show you what it is, huh? Come here. This is Pearl's head. Sit. And this is Pearl's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.